if they did already approve it. I don't know if they can.
I think sat through that entire meeting, but
if they approve it already, I don't think they can. I don't know if they can or not.
No.
Get both groups working together rather than.
What's your pleasure here? If the city staff can take it up and talk about it, or you can.
I'd like to see before anything's done. I really would like it to come back to us so we actually knew what was going on.
All right, well then make the motion is that we would like, if it can, to have it come back to Parks and Rec to look at
That's
it.
what I got as a motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we need a second.
Second.
Any other discussion on it? All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
And then if you also could at the staff meeting mention there needs to be the right direct. Things need to go through the proper channels here.
Oh, that's a good point. Actually,
It has
that
to do with
comes up
Parks and
all the time.
Recreation, whatever it's got.
You did know that.
Yeah. Thanks, man.
Anything else?
No, that was my 3 things.
Anybody else have anything else? I've got one thing, just update, I guess, is the pump track.
Oh.
Is that coming once they get the dirt moved in place?
I have no idea.
Okay, I was just curious if anybody knew how that was coming.
It's a good question.
You know, because I know they're waiting on dirt, so I guess it depends on when they start tearing up Jezebel again, or wherever they're tearing up next.
That's a good staff meeting question.
Yeah, because they were I was hoping they would be starting to build that already.
Were they going to get some of the fill from
Yeah.
this project?
Yeah, the project fill.
Project has started, but just
Yeah, because they were going to put fill there. I don't think they needed a whole lot, but they were going to get the thing, and then they were going to bring in some equipment.
Right, and I guess Brian is the one that's
Brian's doing.
But somebody needs to make sure they're in contact with
Right.
him so he can plan
I'll
his
bring that
life
up
too,
at
I
the
guess.
Monday morning
Yeah.
staff meeting. What's the status of the pump track?
Yeah. Anything else?
I'd like to know maybe some background, Merit, on the grass cutting the contract, and what parks they actually cut. Do they cut Nori? Do they cut Hiawatha? Do they cut Branda?
Which ones do they contract out? Which ones?
Which ones are city?
Yeah, what's the status? Just kind of a background status on. Is that the contracted out?
I know the cemetery is.
Yeah, and Longyear, and I just don't know.
I know Curry Park, I think, is mowed by the city. Queensland Park is by the city.
Well, we can get that information.
Yeah.
Right, absolutely.
So,
Little
you got any
League
questions from constituents on
Yeah.
on that?
Yeah, so for the next meeting, I have that
I was
information.
surprised when Gary Harrington said that the Historical Society pays for the depot park to be mowed.
They didn't pay for it. They might mow it themselves. They don't have a lot of
Well,
money.
they said they
pay.
hire.
They did. They hired somebody.
They
to do
hire
it?
Klaus Bouchard's service.
Oh,
Yeah, they
wow.
pay
Do you know how much they paid? I'd just be interested.
I
because
don't know.
We talk about that in the city.
Yeah, I don't know, but they do pay.
Efficient way to do it.
You know, I know a few years ago a letter was sent to the softball organization, whatever, that uses Randa Field, sort of requesting that they pay for the mowing of that field, and that was done like mid-season. And I, at the time, I thought that was a really wrong way of going about that. On the other hand, looking for volunteers, whether it was the softball teams that are using that field to take turns mowing it as a way of saving money and being able to throw money to other more needed things, is not a bad. Money's tight for a lot of people and a lot of clubs and all that, but sometimes some manpower
Does
to
Manny's
do
run the
that.
field?
No.
It used to be run,
Really?
but when I think when Nori Club was in there, they used to run the field and take care of it. And I thought Manny's took that over when they bought the building, that they took over taking care. I don't know if they mowed the lawn, but they took care of fixing the field and putting down the lines and all that stuff. Either
This is
that
what
or
I
the
heard
teams
through
do.
the
I don't
grapevine
know.
a couple years ago. I never saw the letter or anything like that. So,
I
but
know the dark ages of the city. I cut the grass there with the summer crew.
Right, I think the city cut the grass, but I think the other maintenance of the field was done by Manny's or Nori Club at the time.
I think Nori did for a while.
Yeah, for a while, and I think Manny's did when they first went in there, but then I don't know what happened, who does now or what.
That's maintained by other groups. Yeah, like I was really surprised that the Historical Society mows the depot park.
There was a contract. Last time I think it was $40,000 for the for cutting the cemetery and along area?
There's two separate contracts,
There's
one
two
specifically for the cemetery
cemetery,
and one is for various
Over
Other
there.
parks, yeah.
Over
there's
there.
And I
two separate
think,
ones.
is Little League Field on?
Yeah,
No,
Little League
that's
Field,
separate.
Little League Field, when I was
Exactly.
coach at Little League, the city mowed the Little League Field.
Basically, their effort to keep it.
Which didn't take that long, it just, you
No,
know, I mean, it was pretty quick.
Sorry to hear that.
That'd be a good question, who mows what and pays what.
Do we have access to anybody sentenced to community service?
We do.
Is that?
Occasionally, folks do work for the city
The only,
as part of community service.
I think that's.
the only problem with a lot of that stuff with community service and prisoners and all that kind of stuff.
Liability.
They've got so many rules what you can and can't do with them. You know, because it used to be like, we used to get, Ojibwe used to come up and we would supply chainsaws and the stuff, and they would come and brush all our snowmobile trails. Awesome. I mean, it was like $80 a day for 10 guys in a garden, you know, it's like, wow. You couldn't go out and do it yourself. And then the rules changed and you couldn't do it. Now, I don't know if you can get them anymore or not.
Just a couple of years
Right.
ago, they had a group of, it was younger people too, like cleaning sidewalks in
Yes,
downtown.
and that worked pretty good. They were down by the cemetery cleaning sidewalks and.
So I'm just wondering, is there any that you know, it doesn't have to be prisoners, it can just be people that have to put in X number of
Community
hours of community service, and do we have somebody that supervises that?
Yeah.
Or it can be done, to my knowledge, with
When the
minimal
city- when,
supervision?
uh,
Different departments, I mean, I get asked, do I need anything
Right,
done?
yeah.
And typically it's, oh, maybe somebody could clean that board up behind you, you know.
I
mean,
know when
just
they
don't
did
have
the
capacity to do
sidewalks,
it.
I think a city,
But cleaning
Crews.
parks,
Litter
cleaning
patrol,
up around
just
the
stuff
memorial
like that,
building,
things-
that kind of thing gets
just-
done. The parking lots.
Right.
I mean, that'd be kind of cool, get some of the people to.
I mean, if you have ideas for, you know, what kind of work needs doing, that could go on the list. That's good input.
You know, just
Okay.
all around litter pickup, to be honest.
That would
Just
be a
patrol
really
it,
cool-
and you
yeah.
know how you check up on it, you walk down the trail and you see litter, you go, you're not doing your job.
You know, send some down the trail, send some on the street, you know, wherever you,
I would like
there's
to,
certain areas where there's more garbage than others.
one of the reasons I'd like to see the background on that, on the grass cutting is the Pabst mine shaft, where the sign is on Bonnie Street, doesn't get cut. And,
I don't think it ever did. At least not that I ever remember.
That sign
I don't
didn't get-
think
The
it
sign-
ever
the
used
sign
to
had
go by there more than,
No,
I don't think it ever did get cut, did it?
no.
No.
Only if somebody went and did it, I think, but I mean, there was no actual, anybody's job to do it.
And and somebody did tell me that the sign is down in the cemetery walking trail for marking where the mountain bike path is, or the walking path or something. The sign was down.
Oh, the one right in the info center?
I thought it was over in the back corner of the cemetery. That
Oh,
back,
okay, yeah, there's.
might be in that back corner over there.
Yeah, I know where-
I should
yeah.
get out there myself and take a look.
We're planning and we're to be down there shortly to do that again and walk through and weed eat and fix. I guess the main trail in the cemetery is in good shape except for signing and repainting. The one that's going to need the most work is in the information center because that was just roughly put in last year or so.
A friend of mine mountain biked it and said it was pleasantly surprising and enjoyed it. So
Oh, the one behind the cemetery?
Yeah, behind the
that's
cemetery,
a
yeah.
very nice trail, very nice trail.
And mentioned that the sign was down.
Yeah, I
And I
might have
think it's
been,
that back corner back by the
yeah, by the river, I know where you're, right in the cemetery proper.
You
but-
may mountain bike it, huh?
Oh, I mountain biked it. Yeah, it's nice.
They don't get no slabs.
little tricky,
You don't get no concrete slabs out of the way with a big,
Yesterday for
have,
the first time.
It's a little tight this time.
But if
Any-
everybody loves it that does it.
This Wilds Upper
Michigan,
Peninsula,
yeah.
this website, nice, beautiful, beautiful website.
Yep.
Looks like they're adding stuff to it.
Yep.
It is
Wilds of
nice,
Michigan.
but a beautiful site and something we should be aware of and make sure Ironwood is represented.
We're going to bring the lady who was the lead on that from Northern Initiatives. I'm trying to remember her name.
Chris Rector.
Thank you. She's going to come in and do a presentation on it for the public. So
Okay,
get more.
Cool.
that's great.
When will that be? Let us know.
In June or early July.
Let us know.
Email us.
Email us.
That's great, thanks.
And remember, you can send the agendas out by email.
Cool.
Just, and Mary, you gotta give them your email address.
I have a thing, the sign down at not Curry, but Longyear Park facing Hemlock Street that identifies the park. It's right behind, it was between the Van Shell and Hemlock Street. There's a sign up there, Chamber or JC's or this, that, and the other. It's getting to look a little weather beaten. I thought about, well, bringing it up here, getting it brightened up, painted up, post painted up, and the sign, take it down and maybe brighten up the sign a little bit. Is there? I thought about doing it myself if I could, but I thought I'd see what some others. But I'll take a look at it.
I mean, I don't really care if you do it. If you want to do it, do it. But I don't know. Is it the KC sign or JC? You know, I mean,
Something like that. Yeah, ladies auxiliary or they may be involved in that thing. It's not a big deal.
I don't really think anybody's
but it needs to be done. It needs to be. If it's done, it needs to be done carefully.
Right.
Yeah, on that. Well, hey, go down and take a look at it. And maybe we can find a way of brightening that thing up there.
I really don't
might be able to do it myself if I had the right paint. Is there a sign shop? Alf Craft used to be in business.
There's one almost across the street from the sign. What's his face?
On the triangle.
The vinyl, yeah.
Jim
He does
Sargent.
vinyl.
Yeah.
Who is that?
He does vinyl. Yeah, Jim Sargent. Yeah, he's in charge.
He's on the triangle.
Yeah.
He's in charge of the Fair Board, or not Fair Board, but Fairgrounds.
And I think he's done some Hiawatha signs in town, maybe?
Yeah, he might have. He did. I think he did. Did he do the way signs?
Yes, he did.
Yeah, but I think Elfcraft is in Bessemer now. They used to be out.
They used to be north of town there.
I think they're in Bessemer
along
now.
Jackson Road, I think it was.
Yeah,
They
they
did
did go to old Dr. Brecky's office.
Yeah.
I guess if you're going to do that, check with Scott, just to
Scott
Harrison. Just to make sure. I mean, for all I know, he's already got somebody going after it.
Oh, yeah.
Just touch base with.
I want to bring it up so we can
loose
kind of
projects
get
going
moving right here and find out the right
Great
place to
idea.
go. I think fixing those signs up, you kind of got to know what you're doing.
Yeah.
If you're putting paint in the thing, otherwise you may run and you may
Well, see, the problem with
you may end up with a mess on your hands if you don't know what you're doing.
Well, see, I think the problem with the sign probably is right now is if it's made like most signs, it's probably the paint is underneath a coating. You know, you put everything on, you paint the sign, then you put like a shellac or a varnish or something. So actually,
I
if you
suspect
paint it and you're going over the top of, and it may not.
There's probably a little more to it than just
Yes,
it's like putting a second coat of
yeah.
paint on your house, something like that.
Yeah.
And a person kind of needs to do what they're doing. Know what they're
Painting
doing
a house
on
is
the
a lot
thing.
easier than
But-
making them signs.
Next time you're down there, drop in, take a look at it, see what you think. It seems to me if we could brighten that thing up and do a quality job of it, you'd stand out. Maybe trim a few of the limbs off, just a few of the limbs
The
off.
limbs would, I mean, I think trimming the limbs would be all right, you know, make it where it's more. Because I think I know what sign you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's getting kind of hidden behind all the.
It's kind of, there's some trees there that kind of shade a little bit. That'd be nothing to trim a few branches off so the sign
Or at least you
stands
can
out.
see it from the road, yeah.
But see what you think on upgrading the sign and so forth, and then where you're doing it. I heard of a situation once where they were doing it, and they were yellow paint behind the kind of the dark brown background, and the paint was running and bordered on making a mess of the thing. And unless you do a really quality, know what you're doing on the thing. It's more than just slapping paint on the house.
No.
It could be anyway, and someone needs to know what they're doing on the thing.
Okay, anybody got anything else? Motion to adjourn.
Oh, awesome.